So I've been writing software for a little while now, but you know one thing that's never been fun for me? It's taxes. But in this short video, I'll walk you through a scenario of how a company based in Ontario, Canada could leverage both Stripe Tax and Stripe Checkout to accept online payments for their vintage t-shirts and also collect the right amount of tax from their customers. Here inside of the Stripe dashboard for the custom t-shirt company, we're going to take a look at the tax settings. And also, we'll see how these tax settings affect how customers are charged for the products. Once Stripe Tax is enabled, the business is going to need to provide Stripe with a few pieces of information so it could properly calculate the right amount of tax. So that includes things like the business address, tax registrations, and a few other pieces of data as well. Here inside of the settings, you can see that this business is based in Ontario, Canada, in downtown Toronto. As we scroll down, you can also see that we have a default tax code. This essentially lets Stripe know what are the types of products that this company is selling. In this case, we're going to be selling clothing and footwear, but there's tons of other options available as well. Now, once this is set, any new products that we create are automatically going to get assigned to this tax code, but we can always change it if we wanted to. Again, continuing to scroll down, we can see that there's also a shipping tax code and also an option to specify whether tax is included in the pricing of the products or not. So right now it's set to automatic. When this is the case, then products that are based in US dollars or Canadian dollars are tax exclusive. That means that the price does not contain the tax inside of it. For all other countries, it's tax inclusive. That means the price that the customers see is going to include the tax in it. Let's head over to the tax registrations page. Now, wherever you happen to be selling your products, you need to be familiar with the local tax laws in those locations, because that's going to determine where you're required to collect tax. It's going to be important for you to register with the local tax authority in those locations, and in some cases, you might need to be registered before you even start doing business. In the registration sections under Stripe Tax, you can let Stripe know all of the places that you're registered to calculate tax. For this business, you can see that it's registered in Canada to collect both GST and HST, but it also has registrations in Quebec and British Columbia. These particular provinces have different tax requirements. Quebec, for instance, has QST, Quebec sales tax that customers need to pay. In British Columbia, customers have to pay PST, provincial sales tax. If you wanted to add a registration, just hit the registration button at the top, and you can see all the various places that Stripe Tax supports. So if your business is growing to a different company, maybe Australia, you can definitely go ahead and add it in here very easily. Let's close that out really quick. Now we'll head over to the product catalog to see how this affects what our customers end up paying. As you can probably tell from the product catalog, this t-shirt company is just getting started, so there's not a whole lot of products in here. Let's take a look at the first one, the Vintage Horizon t-shirt. This one's being sold for 40 Canadian dollars. Let's scroll down and look at the pricing information. Now on the right side, you can see a preview of what the tax implications would be for our customers. So if we're selling in Quebec, the customers would have to pay a 5% GST as well as a QST, right? That Quebec sales tax. If we switch locations and we're selling in British Columbia, you can notice how that changes. The customer still pays that 5% GST, but also a 7% PST. This just reinforces that the tax implications change depending on where we're doing business. Now, I'm going to just head over to docs.stripe.com. Inside of here, I'm going to click on Payments, and then I'm going to go to the quickstart. We're going to use our quickstart integration builder to scaffold out a project for us so we can get started with really quickly. I'm going to select Hosted Stripe Page. I want to check HTML and Python. And what this will do is it's going to create a custom solution for me using my products from my own Stripe account. So here, I'm going to select Vintage Horizon t-shirt. Remember, we were looking at that just a few minutes ago. Now, the next thing I want to do is continue to scroll down until I get to the section that says Enable Stripe Tax. Oh, look at that. It's already selected for me, so that's perfect. Now I'm going to download the solution and run it locally and see what it feels like. I'm just going to call this Stripe Quickstart Sample. Next, I just need to unzip this download and open it inside of Visual Studio Code. I'll be back in a second. Let's take a look at what we downloaded from the Quickstart. Inside of server.py, we should have just enough Python code for a basic integration with Stripe Checkout and also enabling Stripe Tax. If you look in line 35, you'll notice that the automatic tax option is enabled. So that means that we don't have to do any of the math necessary to calculate tax across these different providences for different products. Also, if you look at line 28, you can see that the quickstart integration builder included the price ID from one of the prices of the products that we saw inside of the product catalog. If we open up the public folder, we'll notice that there's some default UI that was created for us also. So there's one for checkout, success, and also one for cancel. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. I'm going to open up the terminal built into VS Code. I'm going to make sure that I activate my Python virtual environment because that's always a good thing to do. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I install all the requirements from the requirements.txt file. Looks like we're ready and set to go there. Now let's go ahead and run the application. Right, I'm just going to do Python server.py. And now we need to navigate to this URL. And in particular, we're going to go to the checkout.html file. Open our browser. I'm just going to paste this and let's go to checkout.html. Now, if I hit this checkout button, what I'm expecting to happen is that we're going to get redirected over to Stripe checkout. This is a hosted form over on stripe.com. So that means they're going to take care of some of our compliance requirements. Let me go ahead and fill this out. I'm going to put in our test credit card number. Let's put in my name. And let's say that this customer is coming from Canada. So I am going to select Canada. And now the only thing I need to do is enter a postal code. Let's enter a postal code from Quebec. Notice once we've entered all the necessary information, the Stripe checkout hosted form is able to calculate the right amount of tax to charge our customers, assuming that they're coming from Quebec. What would happen if we change this to a postal code for a customer that's coming from British Columbia? I'm going to come in here, remove this. Let's change that. And notice you see the tax calculation is different. Stripe Tax is able to calculate the right amount of tax that needs to get charged to the customer based on the customer's location, the business location, the product tax code, and any other information that it needs. We can go ahead and hit pay. And now we should be redirected to the success page. Now, the one thing I want you to pay attention to within the context of this video is that even though we used the quickstart integration builder to create a sample project for us, there actually wasn't a lot of code required to get started with accepting payments and taxes using Stripe Checkout's hosted option. However, it is important that you do some research and understand the tax obligations within the countries and cities that you're doing business in. Now, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Stripe Tax and Stripe Checkout, I definitely recommend you head over to the Stripe docs. And of course, take a look at some of the other videos that are available here within the Stripe Developers YouTube channel.